Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're here with video number 7 in our series of videos on our Apache helicopter PC theme build. And what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be installing our power supply. And if you remember in our last video, we installed our completed motherboard into the case. So our next step tonight is to install our power supply. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make more room on the screen. And this is a Thermaltake power supply. I've used this power supply in other builds and always had good luck with it. It's a Tough Power GF2 ARGB 850 watt, and it's 80 plus gold rated, so it's a pretty good power supply. It has a 10-year warranty with it also. And this is completely customizable as far as all your RGB goes. So that's the box. I already took the liberty of taking the power supply out of the box, so we're going to get that out of the row. We're going to spin this around, and what we got here, we got our bag of cables that comes with our power supply. Now we're not going to be using those cables because we have a custom set of cables we got for this. The only thing we're going to be using is this power cord that plugs into the wall and then into the back of your power supply. Other than that, we're not going to use anything in this cable kit. So this is our power supply. Like I stated, it's fully modular. As you can see, none of the wires are embedded into the case. They all come separate, and you only plug in what you need, depending on you know, how many components your computer has in it. And these are all marked also. These are marked GPU, PCI Express, peripheral, SATA, CPU, PCI Express, and then of course your main plug, your 24-pin ATX cable. The RGB also extends to the side of this power supply. This all lights up here. This is all transparent. And in the back of the power supply, what we have here, we have our on-off switch. Then we also have a switch up here. It's an on-off switch that we can use what they call quiet fan. If we turn this switch on, the fan will run whenever it's needed. Whenever the power supply feels it's heated up enough that it needs the fan to come on, it will automatically come on. But if we shut this off, the fan will never come on, depending on what your needs are and what you're using it for. And also we have two switches over here. One's for the lighting mode and one's for the lighting colors. And this is all customizable. And like I said, there's 16 million different color combinations, believe it or not, that you can use with this power supply. This is a pretty nice power supply. It's pretty hefty. And on our corners here is our mounting holes. You see our holes that we mounted into the case with. There's 4 of them. And you got to take a mental note on the pattern of these holes, because on the back of your case there's different patterns on there, so it can accommodate different power supplies. So just keep a mental note of that pattern. And just for example, you can see that this one mounting hole right here, it's not in the corner over here like all your other ones are. It's kind of inward about an inch or so. You want to keep a mental note of that when you stick it in the case, that where your hole's at. So, alright, I'm going to take this, take our power supply, I'm going to spin our case around. And one thing I want to mention, this case is also modular, like I stated before, and it has a power supply cage, and you can remove this cage, install the power supply onto the cage, and then reinstall the cage into the case, kind of like what we did with our motherboard. But being this case is so big and wide open, we're just going to stick our power supply in the right side of the case and then stick all our mounting screws in. And like I said a couple minutes ago, you got to keep a mental note of your screw hole pattern. And you can see right here, here's the screw hole that's in about an inch. So this is the one we're going to probably use. So you can see all the different patterns on this cage. And like I said, these are set up to take different manufacturers' power supplies. And this is a Thermaltake case, and we're using the Thermaltake power supply. So this ought to fit in there pretty nice. Also, and I've never seen this before in any other cases, but you have these little rubber pads right here, little rubber strips that the power supply sets on. I think that's pretty neat. So let's go ahead and get this installed. So like I said, being we have all that room on the side, we're just going to stick it in, and we're going to slide it right up inside that cage, just like that. And then we have 4 screws we have to install. And these are the screws right here. They kind of got that embedded washer on them. Usually these screws come with the case. In this case it did. And sometimes they come with the power supply. And in this case, this power supply didn't come with them. But nevertheless, we have our screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these screws installed. And always use a magnetic screwdriver because it's so easy to drop these screws. And like our motherboard, we're just going to start these screws. We're not going to tighten them up all the way until we get them all started. You also want to take a look through your mounting holes so you can see where your threads are in your power supply. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And we got one more to go. Okay, now we got these all started, we're just going to go ahead and snug these down. You don't want to over tighten these either because, like I said, these are really small screws and they're fine thread. You can strip them real easy. You just bottom them out and snug them up. You know, just use your fill. You can fill whenever they're tight enough. Okay. So that's all we do to install our power supply into the case. That's pretty simple. It's probably one of the simplest things we've done so far. Oh, and I want to mention also there's a cover on this receptacle right here where your power plug goes, the one that goes into your wall receptacle. So you're going to want to take this off. So let's get that out of the road. And these cables that come with these power supplies, the main power cord, they're a pretty hefty cord. So don't replace it with anything else. Always use the one that comes with the power supply because it's rated to whatever the wattage is on the power supply. So you want to keep them matched up. So okay, there you have it. Our power supply is installed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the cables we have, because I mentioned that we're not going to use the cables that came with that power supply. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cables that we purchased for this custom build. And this is what they look like. They're all individually laced up. And here's our main board power plug, power cable. And what we're going to do is, to keep these routed in a nice, neat, mannerly fashion, we're going to use what they call cable cones. I thought I had some here to show you, but but I don't. But anyway, we're going to use the blue power supply cables, and we're going to use cable combs to keep these in real neat order and you know, in line with each other. You know, we don't want them all tangled up and twisted around and you know, really ugly looking. So we're also going to use some red, and these are data cables for our SATA hard drives or storage drives that we're going to be installing. We're going to be installing 3 of those. And so here's the powers, or not the power for them, but this is the data cables for the SATA storage drives. And also this custom kit for this power supply, it comes with every cable you're ever going to need to build any type of computer. You're only going to ever need one of these main power cords. And then it comes with 2 CPU 8-pin connectors, and it comes with 3 PCI Express 8-pin cables, and they're mostly used for your graphics card. It also comes with 3 SATA power cables, and what they're for is they power up your hard drives, and they also power up some of your add-on controllers like RGB controllers or fan controllers, any kind of controllers like that. They power that stuff up too. So yeah, so you know, we got our power supply installed, and I'm not going to plug the wires into the power supply at this time, because I think what we're going to do next in video 8 is we're going to install our fans in the front of the case up in here. Turn around. Yeah, we're going to install our fans up in the front of the case. Now, originally, I was going to install our cooling radiator up there, but it turns out the radiator that I'm using is a 360 millimeter all-in-one cooling radiator, which means it has the radiator, the cooling lines, and the pump already made up for you. It's all integrated into one unit. And from the documentation I've been reading, that radiator won't fit up here, because the reason is our cooling cables have to come over in this direction onto the pump that mounts onto our CPU. And what it'll do is it'll cover up our memory. So we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I have 2 options. I can either mount the radiator on the top of the case, or I can mount the radiator on the side of the case right here. I got those 2 options, but I haven't decided which one I'm going to use yet. But I have decided that we're going to put our fans up front. We're going to use 3 140 millimeter fans. I'm going to install 1, 2, 3. And the fans we're going to use for our radiator and our exhaust fans, they are 120 millimeter fans. They're a little smaller. So yeah, like I said, I haven't decided where we're going to put that radiator yet. I'm thinking honestly on the top, because heat rises, and set the fans up in an orientation that it exhausts the air out through the top of the case. And that way all the heat that builds up in the case will exhaust out through the top. And the reason I think that's a better idea is because if we was to install this radiator on the side here, and then you had your fans mounted to it blowing outward, all it's going to do is blow that hot air onto that glass door that goes right on the other side of this right here. So I just don't think that's going to be very efficient as far as cooling. I think the best way to cool this is to exhaust all that heat from the CPU and the GPU and exhaust all that heat out through the top of the case. Because like I said, heat naturally rises anyway. So I think I think that's the way we're going to do that. We're going to put our radiator up on top. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm kind of leaning in that direction. So I think that's what we're going to do in our next video. So we got our power supply installed. Like I said, that's one of the easiest components to put in this particular case. And to tell you the truth, in every case I've ever built, the power supply is probably your easiest thing to do. I mean, it's just a matter of setting it in the proper location and installing your 4 mounting screws. So you see this hole right here, it looks like there's a screw missing, but there isn't, because there isn't any threaded mounting hole on the power supply. It's over here. So a lot of people get confused and they'll try to put a screw in that corner, and basically all they end up doing is threading the screw into one of these cooling vents and not into the actual tapped out threaded part of the power supply, and it doesn't give it a very secure mounting. So you can see we got ours in the right spots, and this thing is tight. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So yeah, there you have it. The motherboard's installed in the case and the power supply's in the case. So we're going to take our power cable out of here and keep it, and then we're gonna take the rest of these, and maybe we can use them in another build sometime, or if we have to do a repair and we need a cable, we'll have extra cables on hand to do a repair. But for now, I'm just going to put those aside, because we don't have to worry about them right now. And also that power supply comes with documentation also. It explains everything you need to know for installing it and hooking up all your cables. So yeah, that's a pretty decent power supply. Like I said, I used it before and I liked it. Never had any problems with it at all. I kind of got worried on the first one I used, because I buy a lot of my components off of Amazon, and I look at the reviews, and some of the reviews weren't very good on this power supply. But it had over a 4-star rating, so you always have people that are going to complain about something. So I figured this is probably pretty good, because the positive reviews I read were really high on it. So yeah, this thing really lights up nice. Like I said, all the colors are customizable, and it's really going to make the inside of our case look pretty cool. Now I'm going to synchronize all these colors on this power supply with the colors on the motherboard, because this motherboard also has LEDs on it, and they're all customizable through Gigabyte's Fusion 2.0 software. And I also removed the main wiring cable out of the case, because it was actually in the road for whenever we were going to install our fans up front here. I didn't want those wires hanging down in the way. So yeah, there's our customizable wires. I thought I would pick blue. I know these kind of look bright, but whenever this computer's all closed up with all the RGB on, and the color is reflecting off of this blue, I just thought it would be a good combination of the blue and the red as far as our wiring goes. And also, we got a bunch of different color zip ties too that we're going to use to add to some of the aesthetics of the case. So like I said, this thing's going to be really cool. I mean, try to make it as close as I can to a piece of art, to tell you the truth. So yeah, there you have it. Our video number 7 is coming to a conclusion, and I hope to make another video where we install the front cooling fans. I hope to make that video in a couple of days, and I'd like to try to upload at least 2 or 3 videos a week. You know, I don't want to spread them out too far because I don't want everybody, you know, just by nature, everybody will lose interest, you know. So I want to keep everybody informed on how this build's going. So we're on video 7, so I'm figuring we can finish this in probably another 15 videos, because like I said, I want to take these slow. Hello everybody. I want to take these videos slow so everybody gets a good general understanding on how to build a computer. And what I want to emphasize is you don't have to use this exotic case like this. You can use a standard computer case, but all the basics are going to be the same. The way you install your motherboard and the way you install your power supply. You just may not have this much room. I mean, this case has got a ton of room in it, and it's really easy to work inside. Especially when it comes to wire management. We have to manage all these cables and wiring inside this case and make it look really uniform and neat. We're going to have a ton of room to do that. But still, I have to say that wire management is probably the biggest pain in the butt there is. I mean, it gets really frustrating. Because, you know, you install one set of cables and then you go install another set of cables and then you don't know whether to put those cables over top of them, beside them, or under the previous set of cable. So, you know, a lot of the time you're taking things back off and re-zip tying them on there. And one other thing I wanted to mention, you don't want to do your cable management until the computer is completely built and all your cables are plugged in, and then you run a complete test on the computer to make sure it works at 100%. Because one of the worst things there is to do all your cable management and find out that something went wrong, and then you have to take a pair of wire snippers and cut every single one of your tie straps back off, your zip ties. You have to cut them all back off to get your wiring back out of the road to figure out what went wrong. So basically, you just get all your cables plugged in where they go and in a general routing order, and then just leave them there. Don't be tie strapping them down just then. Don't do your cable management till you're completely done. The computer's completely put together and tested, 100% completely done. And then do all your aesthetics, do all your cable management, and do all your customizable RGB lights, you know, and just do all your setups. But yeah, don't do your cable management and then have to take it all back apart, because it's time consuming, and it's like I said, it's a real pain in the butt. I'm not even going to be sure I'm going to be videoing the cable management on this helicopter PC, because it's going to be long and drawn out. So what I'll do is I'll basically have everything plugged in and tested, and then on the last video I'll do a presentation on the completed build and show everybody where all the routings were, and you know, basics on how to do it. So I think that's it for the video, everybody. And like I said, I'll do another video, video 8, in a couple of days. And that one will consist of installing those cooling fans, those 140 millimeter cooling fans on the front. So like I said, we definitely cannot put our radiator up front. It's just not going to work. The only way it would work is if we had a modular cooling system, where your radiator, your cooling lines, and your pump were all separate, and then you could customize the length of your cooling lines. But what we have is what they call a all-in-one cooling unit, which consists of the pump, the cooling lines, and the radiator, and 3 fans. So yeah, So I think we're going to be mounting that on the top of the case. So yeah, everything's coming along pretty well, I think. Haven't had any glitches in the system yet, but that's not rare. Usually these builds go without any kind of issues, unless you're just not paying attention and don't care. I mean, all you got to do is read your documentation if you ain't sure. Search some YouTube videos on how to. There's a ton of videos on YouTube on how to do this stuff. And you can also just Google it. You know, there's just an endless amount of information out there on how to do things. So, yeah, if you just get there in a hurry and sloppy, you can make mistakes and you can have problems. And I can honestly say on all the custom PC builds I've done, I only had one that wouldn't post to the BIOS. And the problem was real simple. What it was is the memory wasn't completely seated. And so all I did was pop the memory out back out of the motherboard and then reseat it down in there real tight and booted right up. So that's the only issue I ever had with one of my builds not booting up. So yeah. So okay, everybody. I think this is going to conclude our video, and everybody have a great rest of your evening and a great day tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, which I bet everybody's happy about. And ain't going to be long. Christmas is coming. I think a couple weeks. A little under 3 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. Christmas will be here. So I'd like to get in at least one more video before Christmas. And then I'll probably take a break over the Christmas, New Year's holiday and then resume the videos probably in the first week of January. So, you know, maybe not. Maybe I'll get bored and I'll throw a video or two in there over Christmas, you know. Maybe I'll do a different type of video, maybe one on, you know, Christmas Day about all the Christmas shows that are on TV and all the things to be thankful for on Christmas and, you know, something different other than building computers. Oh, yes, and that reminds me, whenever I'm done with this PC build and it's completely done, I also have a 2016 Mustang GT 5.0, and I bought that Mustang brand new in 2016, and this Mustang has under 500 miles on it. And I did some customization on it, and I've been keeping it stored away because I want to kind of turn it into kind of like a show car and a weekend driver. But the point I'm getting at is I have a supercharger that I purchased for that car a couple of years ago, and a set of long tube Kirk's headers or Cook's headers. I whatever the name, I can't remember the exact name, but anyhow, I have the long tube headers and the Whipple supercharger for that Mustang, and I'm going to be installing them. And what I think I'm going to be doing is I think I'm going to be doing a series of videos on that. I think I can grab a lot of people's interest on that because there's a lot of Mustang enthusiasts on YouTube. So, and of course on Facebook too, a lot of your social media sites. So yeah, I think that's what our next series of videos is going to be about. It's going to be about installing that supercharger and those long tube headers on that Mustang. And yeah, I think everybody's going to enjoy that. I have a pretty nice garage to work in and well lit it up or well lighted up, and very clean. I keep it very clean and neat. And being that I was a mechanic by trade for over 45 years of my life, I have just about every tool under the sun. So yeah, I have everything ready to go to install that stuff on that car. And so I think that definitely going to be our next series of videos. But that's down the road. So if you're a car enthusiast, Mustang, Fords, or whatever, you know, subscribe and don't forget to hit the little bell button so you get notified on my future videos so you don't miss those. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button. Whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, just hit the like button so I know you're watching. So, okay, everybody, that's going to conclude this video. And like I said, everybody have a great evening and a great day tomorrow. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And stay tuned. Thank you.